Hello, in this video I am going to be showing you how to retrieve user profile properties from SharePoint using JavaScript. So what you're looking at here on the page are profile are properties that I'm going to retrieve in first name, last name, and preferred name. And for those of you that are not familiar with what user properties are, according to the Microsoft Docs, it says user properties and user profile properties provide information about users, such as display name, email, title, and other business and personal information. So basically, it just grabs detailed or just pieces of information about a user that's already in SharePoint. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna go to my code here and show you. So let's first go to the HTML file. In my HTML file, I'm going to be using Axios in my JavaScript. So I have this Axios library, and then I have this ES6 promise library for promises, because Axios uses promises. And if you're not familiar with Axios, Axios is a promise-based HTTP client for the browser. So here's the information I'm going to be grabbing: first name, last name, preferred name, and I have these span tags where I'm going to be putting my information. I have my user profile JavaScript file. That's where all my code will be. And so let's go open that up, and here that is with blank. So let's go ahead and start to fill this in. I'm going to start out with an IFI. And if you're not familiar with what an IFI is, it's basically an immediately invoked function expression. And all that means is that, once the page loads, it'll fire off this function. So it runs as soon as it loads. So let me go ahead and put this here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to call this a function. So profile. Okay, you have it. And then let's come down here and create the function. Get user profile. Let's do this. So we're going to use our endpoints, var endpoint. You know what? I'm just going to go copy it from another code that I had. Let's just copy from here to here. Copy. And let's just do this. Paste. Okay. So now let's go ahead and build out that endpoint. And this is from the docs. So sp.user, user profiles dot people manager. Okay. And then get my properties. You have it. So now I'm going to use Axios dot get endpoint URL. It's promise based. So once we have had a success retrieving the information we need from that endpoint, then we call this anonymous function here. Okay, response. And then so now I'm going to have a property, a variable called property, and I am going to drill down. So let's say we did a console.log of this response. Let me show you this. Let me show this to you really quick, what that looks like. So for that response, this is what it will show. And then you have the data, and then you have user profile properties, which is an array. And then within that array, you have all of these different properties. It's about 107 of them. And so one of the properties that I'm going to go grab is first name here, and also last name here, and then preferred name. And as you can see, there's a whole lot of different properties you can grab. Now it's an array, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to loop through the array and then have an if statement to grab, looking for the key that we want. And once we find the key that we want, we can grab the value. So let's do that. So now I'm going to say, if you remember, property.response, and we're going to drill down data.user. Oops. So user profile properties. All right. So now let's loop through that for. And we're going to do var I equal to 0, and then we're going to say I less than property.length. And then we're going to say I, okay, we increment that, it's our for loop. And so now we're going to come in here, we're going to say if, have an if statement. And we're going to say property. So remember, it's an array, so I. And then we need to grab the key. Let's compare, while we're looping through, let's compare to see if it's a first name property. And if it is, we're going to say document.get element by ID, and then we want first name. So we're grabbing that ID or first name, and we're going to say dot inner HTML equal to property. And then we want the value, so value. Save. Now let's go to our page and see what that looks like. So refresh the page, and as we refresh the page, nothing happens. So let's see what's going on. Let's do F12, see if we get an error. Oops. I think there it is. So the error we get says is blocked, so no access control. So let me go back here. So response data API sp user profile people manager. So properties that I think, okay, here you go. I spelled length wrong. Alright, save. Let's try that again and see what happens. Refresh. Cannot read property length of undefined, so I'm doing something wrong here. So property I less than property.length. 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 So I think I see what's the problem. So this is supposed to be user profile properties. So if you remember right here, user profile properties, and I had get in there, so so that should work now. So let me save, come back here, oops, excuse me, come back here, refresh the page, and there you have it. So Isaac. So let me go back and do the rest. Copy, paste, paste. So here we're gonna have last name, copy, last name, and then here we're gonna have preferred name. Let's copy that, paste that in here, save. Close that. So let's go back, refresh the page, and we should see all the names pop up. And there you have it. So that is how you retrieve user information properties from the user profile. I hope that made sense, and leave any comments if nothing made sense. Thanks for watching. Bye.